Hello everyone, you join us on the Chesapeake Bay at the 2021 Washington Automotive Press Association rally. We're about to take a look at some really cool cars and get to take them all out for a spin and take a peek around them. Colin, are you ready to get out there?
Hell yeah, I am.
All right guys, let's get into it. All right everyone, Colin is behind the camera. I'm up here in the Volkswagen ID4 all-wheel drive Pro S with Bern from Bern on Cars.
Yes.
Definitely check out his channel, it'll be in the link below. Bern, what is this car like to drive? You've driven the two-wheel drive ID4.
Yes.
Tell me about this guy.
So yes, I drove the two-wheel drive ID4 when I worked at the VW dealership near me, and this car is significantly quicker than the two-wheel drive. The steering is about the same. I would definitely consider this a more daily driver type of car than anything sporty, just because the steering is light, the ride is very soft, the seats are really comfortable, but they're not sporty supportive. But it seems like it's a really good car on road trips and even on country roads like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's a good looker too, this interior. I like it a lot. It's nice and simple to use. I think they did a really nice job on this car with some first impressions.
I think so too, especially with that voice control.
Yeah, you know what? Let's show the people this. Hey ID, close the sunshade.
Closing the sunshade.
And there she goes. Colin's going to pan the camera up, and in just a second you'll see the sunshade closing right over us. Now this vehicle does have some natural speech too. So for example, if I said, hey blank, I don't want to activate the voice system, it's dark in here, she would then open the sunshade for us. So some really cool tech in this car. We really want to do a full review on it, so hopefully keep your eyes peeled for that. We'll work on that.
Now you join us behind the wheel of the all-new Genesis GV70 SUV. This is designed to be their sportier SUV, so it's going to give you a lot more active of a driver's experience. And my first impressions behind the wheel of this vehicle is that it is a very good handling vehicle. I mean, it drives well, and we haven't got to try the sport mode yet, but once we get on some more open roads, we're definitely going to try that out. We've heard great things about it. But for being a sporty vehicle, it also does not really, lack any of the luxury amenities you would want. Of course, the interior is very nice, and they put an emphasis on real materials. So where you see glass, it is real glass, and the carbon fiber is real carbon fiber. It's a very nice thing to see on a higher end vehicle like this one. Of course, another big point of emphasis is just how quiet it is when you're driving it. The glass layers are double and they have the acoustic on them, so it'll be as quiet as possible when you're driving. So this is a very nice vehicle. It definitely lives up to the quality you'll come to expect from Genesis. Overall, it definitely lived up to expectations. All right, so we have the vehicle in Sport Plus now, and I'm assuming you can probably hear just how aggressive it is. Even with all the soundproofing they've done on this interior, you still know that you are in Sport Plus mode. Of course, this does have a normal sports mode for anyone who's not as wild, which you can switch to by finding this little switch here and flicking it up. This will also allow you to switch to your other modes. You have Comfort and Eco, as well as the custom modes if you want to go through and pick stuff a bit more. And one cool thing I noticed is when you switch to Sport mode from, say, Comfort, as I switch now, the seat on the driver's side right around here will kind of push in a little bit and fit you better to the seat. It's a very cool feature for the more wild turns you might be taking in sport mode.
So this is the Mazda MX-30. It's an all-new EV. It's actually Mazda's first EV. I think it looks like a combination of a CX-30 and a Miata. I think it looks pretty futuristic. I love the wheels on it. This one at this price point is about $32,000, but the range is only around 100 miles. Something interesting about this car is the doors. They're like a Toyota FJ Cruiser, and you have to remember that the front door has to open before this one, and kind of the same thing before closing it, or you'll mess stuff up. But a 6-foot person can fit behind here with a 5'9" person in the driver's seat. Something else that's interesting is this Mazda lettering over here with this brushed aluminum trim. It looks very classy to me. And then the rear of it reminds me of a lot of things. It reminds me of the Miata and also the CX-30, the smaller crossover, which this is actually based on.
Now you join me in the interior of the MX-30, and this is where this vehicle really shines. One interesting little material to point out here is up here along the doors. You can see this kind of gray material that is made out of recycled bottles, which is a real emphasis this vehicle has on being environmentally conscious. So you also have the faux leather seats paired with the cloth. And down here, you have cork in the middle, a feature you do not see in many cars. And this is a cool callback to Mazda's heritage back in the 1920s when they were a cork producing company. Of course, one last cool feature to mention on the interior of this car is the sunroof can actually open. While that is not very unique to automotives as a whole, to EVs, this is one of a kind.
The powertrain of the MX-30 is rather interesting. It's not like your typical Mazda that has a Skyactiv engine. This is Mazda's first ever all-electric vehicle, and this is loosely based off of the CX-30 crossover, so they're very similar. Now, if you look in here, there's an enormous amount of space under the hood, but there's no engine. This is just the electric motor, and it makes 143 horsepower. Mazda in the future does plan on adding a range extender, but as of right now for the US, we just have this front-wheel drive, electric, 143 horsepower, 100 miles of range electric motor.
Now we are behind the wheel of the newly redesigned 2022 Nissan Frontier. And the big change they did with this is bringing their newer interior into the Frontier, which was desperately in need of an update. And my first impression behind the wheel of this thing is it feels like a truck, but in the best possible way. It doesn't feel cumbersome or hard to drive around turns, but you can definitely feel this vehicle's size, and that's a very good thing when driving a truck. It keeps you honest so you don't maybe forget just how big your vehicle is. It's a very nice feature to have, and I love how it drives. And with that, the sight lines are also great. Of course, you have the trucker's arm type thing on these doors, and that just opens up these side windows and just gives you a great view of everything going around. So you can see here, we're driving through a bit of a small town right now, and that is very nice. In a larger vehicle like this, being able to see people everywhere, other parked vehicles, very useful thing to have in a truck. And of course, for the new interior, it feels really good. I love this driver's area. It looks very rugged and off-road like. This one has the reddish orange around the Nissan badging, which looks very cool with the tan body color this one has. Overall, I am a very big fan of the Frontier. We are now behind the wheel of the Polestar 2, and I have to say, this vehicle can go. When you put the pedal down, it is crazy how fast this vehicle just pops to speed.
Yeah.
Of course, Byrne has the specs for this vehicle.
So they don't have an official torque number, but Polestar says that this makes 408 horsepower, and it definitely feels like 408 horsepower.
Yeah.
You all join me in the Genesis G70, and this thing is an absolute hoot. You put this guy into sport mode, and all of a sudden its personality completely changes. You can hear the loud active exhaust right now. Even if you're going 40 or 50 miles an hour in this thing, it is an absolute blast.
Oh, did you feel it?
I felt that, dude. That kicked out.
That was that kicked out.
Oh. Genesis told us today that they brought the fun cars to this event, and they absolutely did. This thing really is incredible. Colin said it single-handedly changed his opinion on Genesis as he drove it, and I gotta say, I was not incredibly impressed with the Genesis GV80. However, this vehicle has more than blown me away. It really is fantastic.
Currently, I am driving one of my personal vehicles to hit here today. This is the Subaru Outback Wilderness Edition. And Subaru heard some talking from the fans of the Outback saying, hey, we would like these cars to come with a bit more off-roady features. So one thing they did is with this new Wilderness Edition, they lifted the ride height significantly, as well as removing places that are painted in some of the more damage-prone areas and having the hard plastic there. Overall, this vehicle has a very off-road oriented focus for those more off-road based Subaru fans.
Guys, that wraps it up for this 2021 Washington Automotive Press Association rally. It really was a fantastic day. I had a great time. The winner of the WAPA Car of the Year was announced and is going to be announced to the public at the Washington Auto Show coming up. And now you heard about my day. You saw Colin and I driving around all day. Let's ask Bern from Bern on Cars. How was your day?
It was absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite cars was the Acura TLX Type S. Just mind-blowing acceleration. It's a lot different on paper than it is actually in person. It's a fabulous car. I filmed a review on it. You could check that out on my channel. And everything else today, every car I've driven today just put a smile on my face in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, guys, be sure to check out Bern's channel in the description below. Today was such a fun day. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to check out our future content on vehicles from here and from around the entire country as we start taking a look at more and more vehicles from new brands. It's going to be an exciting year for the rest of 2021 and 2022, guys. Thanks so much for joining us and making it a great time. All right, everyone, we'll see you in next week's video.